Hello, good afternoon. Today we have with us Mr. Markus Ferber, who is the president of the Hanns Seidel Foundation and has been in the European Parliament since 1994. Mr. Ferber, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure, thanks.
I would like to start with a very basic question, that is, what does the Russian invasion of Ukraine mean for Europe's security and for Germany's foreign and defense policy?
Oh, that's a difficult question, because if I take the first part, Europe, I think Europe was built in the 50s last century to avoid that we will have war anymore in Europe. And since today we delivered. But war was always close to our borderlines. We had civil wars like when Yugoslavia broke down in the early 90s. But what happens now with the aggression from Russia against Ukraine, that is war coming closer to the European Union. And of course, if you look on the map and you remember that the Baltic states, for example, belong to the Soviet Union, like Ukraine, they are of course concerned because their decision to join NATO and European Union was of course that Russia never has access to them, will never occupy, that the army of Russia will never come to these countries. And therefore the threat is a great one. On the other hand, and I think that was one of the mistakes of Mr. Putin, it united us in a way which I haven't seen for decades on European level. If you ask me for Germany, of course Germany is the most powerful economy inside the European Union, number 2 in the NATO, behind the United States. And I grew up as well in circumstances where we said, wow, with the reunification of Germany and the reunification of Europe, peace will be always here. We don't have to do anything more for it. And now we are learning in a crucial way that peace is not guaranteed by itself. You have to do something for that. That is really a huge change for German policies as well. Not in the question of foreign affairs, but in the question of defense, where we have to spend more money, where we have to refresh our capacities to deliver good services inside NATO and European Union.
Do you believe, in terms of defense strategy, that it's going to, let's say, advance a more common European defense, not only in terms of each country spending more money, but in a common defense, or it stays there and it goes through NATO, for example?
I think that is a question we had for a long time. Even under the Obama administration, United States asked us Europeans to deliver more, and Europeans didn't. And a lot of the threats we have around us are around Europe, not around the United States. What's happening in Africa has direct impact to us via the Mediterranean Sea. What's happening in Syria had direct impact on us, not to the United States. And I can mention a lot of other conflicts. The Middle East is close to us, not to the United States. So all the conflict areas around us are around us, not around the United States. Canada and Mexico is not the threat. The threat comes from somewhere else. That's number one. And number two, of course, it's not only a question of investing more in security and arms and forces. It's as well that we should concentrate our possibilities and capabilities on European level, because we have in Europe more soldiers under weapons than the United States or Russia, but we can't deliver these services which are needed. That means in the question of cost efficiency, we are far away from what we say value for money to achieve security, and therefore European cooperation makes sense. But to be honest, what is really protecting us are the United States, and to be very open-minded, the nuclear weapons of the United States. That is the real game changer in comparison what Europe can deliver. As United Kingdom has left us, we have only the French ones, which are not able to give any threats to the Russian authorities or to Mr. Putin.
In Europe we still are relying heavily on the energy sector, Germany in particular, and apparently nobody saw it coming. I mean, nobody, at least the western part of Europe didn't see it coming. Haven't we been too soft on Russia since 2014, and that led us to where we are?
That is, of course, a very important question, which I ask myself all the time as well, because I was a young boy when we had the first and the second oil crisis, when the OPEC states increased the prices for oil, in crude oil in 74 and 80. And that was, of course, the moment where a lot of changes happened in Germany. We invested a lot of money in nuclear power, for example. We increased the coal mining. Thanks God we have a little bit of coal in Germany as well. But we replaced a lot of oil via gas. And a lot of production, industrial production, now is dependent on gas, especially in the chemical sector in its widest range, with a lot of products which we need daily in our life, which is produced not out of oil anymore, but out of gas. But now we switched off all nuclear power plants. The last one will be switched off end of this year. We decided to leave the coal because of CO2 emissions, and has left one dependency. So, of course, it was self-decided to be more and more dependent from gas coming from Russia. And therefore we have to find the right answer, but honestly it's not only Germany, it's the whole Eastern Europe. Bulgaria 100%, Romania 100%, Czech Republic 80%, dependency from Russian gas. So we have a common threat as Europeans, and we have to find a European answer, and that means, of course, that we have to invest a lot in a real single market for electricity and for gas, which is, I think, necessary now. So we don't have access to gas from North Africa. It goes to Spain, but not to Central Europe. We have to think how we can bring more renewables from Greece, for example, to the center of Europe. I think that are the questions we have to answer.
But in the short term, I read a kind of, even the Greens said there's no taboo right now in what we'll do to have energy independence, which is fair enough, but in the long run it will, we will withhold our targets for green energy, correct?
Yeah, but to be very open-minded, it was the Greens who said LNG is not acceptable for Germany because the United States use fracking, for example. So we said, okay, if it is not allowed by the Greens, so we don't ask the United States. Now the Greens go to the United States, please send us some LNG, even if it is fracked. We saw our energy minister in Qatar a few days ago, really asking, please, 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 don't let us be alone. And I think that is not the position Europe should be. We really have to concentrate now our efforts and concentrate our possibilities. Not everyone going to Qatar or to the United States, we as Europeans, and to build infrastructure. For the moment, we are only connected to Russia. We are not interconnected inside Europe. And that is one of the main challenges to be solved now.
So what can Europe, I mean, contrary to the US, Europe is the one hit more hard from the war in Ukraine, the invasion in Ukraine. What can we do? What should we do? Financially wise, economically wise, and energy wise? Briefly, like some ideas.
Financially wise, I think with the RRF we have delivered already a solution, and we have to rethink how we can use a tool similar to the RRF after COVID for the new threat, which is defense and, of course, energy for Europe. Economically, we really have to re-improve all delivery chains. That is very important, and we have to bring more production back to Europe. We can't rely that somewhere in the world our things are produced. We have to produce more. And what was the last one? You made so many.
I said, what should we do? Energy and economy.
Yeah, and energy, as I said, we really have to create an integrated market and not 27 nationally regulated markets. Honestly, it makes no sense that the Greek island is treated the same way than whole Germany. We have to find a European answer for all these challenges.
So the whole war from one point brings Europe together, and it should bring Europe together.
It should bring, and not only as long as the war is. I hope that will be a short period, but we should be aware that the day after we should stick together as well.
Thank you very much for being here with us today. I hope I'm going to have the opportunity to see you again and talk to you in the future. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.